a friendly match for Iran. So how did the game go? On today's episode, we will recap Iran's friendly match against Bulgaria, and we will preview the upcoming friendly with Angola. You know the deal, and you know what time it is. It's time for Team Melli Talk. The boys are definitely in a good mood. Hey everyone, welcome back to Team Melli Talk. We know what you want, so let's get right to Iran's starting lineup against Bulgaria. Getting the starting goal, Ali Reza Bayranvan. Now for the rest of the lineup, starting with the back line. Ehsan Hajsafi, Shoja Khalilzadeh, Mortaza Pouraliganji, Ramin Rezaian. The midfielders, Saeed Ezatollahi, Saman Goldus, Ahmad Nurullahi. Up top, on the wings, Mohammad Mohebi and Ali Reza Jahanbash, and the striker, Mehdi Taremi. Really like this lineup used by Amir Galanoui. Let's take a look at the first half highlights.
ایران به خوبی فاز هجومی خودش رو شکل داده. یه موقعیت، یه خطای خوشجا میتونست اعلام باشه. پاس زمینی و حالا تکلی که زده شد. مهدی طارمی میاد به گوشه زمین. مهاجم آماده فوتبال ایران پاس میده. موقعیت در اختیار محبی، ضربه زمینی او که توپش شانس گل داره. دقیقه نهم و حالا خود هایتفی میزنه که توپش رو میگیره. اما قطعا خیلی کار خواهند داشت. ساتر بلند، یه ضربه سر و حالا اوت. منه، تیم ملی شماست، تیم ملی هممونه، پس ازش انتظار داریم. این ضربه سر از بلغارستان که فضای پشت مدافعین بلغارستان. بازگشت ایلیا گروف، ضربه سر او به اشتباه. حالا فرصت، این پاس و گل اول ایران و حالا دروازه رو باز میکنه اونجا محبی. سامان قدوس سازنده گل ایران اینجا توپو بهش دادن. این پاس خوب و این گل اول ایران پایه و اساس جذاب شد، دلیل حال خوش عاشقان تیم ملی. دیگر بوشهری فوتبال ایران پاس میده، خودش حرکت میکنه. حالا موقعیت شد، این ضربه زمینی. کاشته بلغارستان، ضربه از راه دور و در دو مرحله میگیره. تو خط دفاعی بلغارستان پاس اشتباه. حالا فرصت برای ایران هست. طارمی، پاس او آفساید هم نیست. موقعیت، این پاس و ایران و شانس گل دوم کرد. یه لحظه اشتباه کردن. فرصت برای طارمی هست، پاس میده. حالا محبی ضربه‌شو میزنه که توپش به اوت میره. جانبخش 1-2 میکنه با قدوس. حالا پاس طارمی، موقعیت تک به تک و آفسایدی که اعلام شد. و حالا سانتر جهانبخش روی تیر 2، یه ضربه سر شجاع خلیلزاده و حالا موقعیت گل برای ایران که توپ بیرون زده شد. عزت اللهی صحنه آهسته رو میبینید. کار خوب شجاع خلیلزاده. دوباره روسه و این ضربه زمینی که گرفتنش برای نیازمند. کاشته بلغارستانی ها بد زده شد با یوردانو. پاس عقب میدن با دومینیک یانکوف و شوت از راه دور. تو بیرون میره. ایران اگه میخواد از برتری از جبهه راست، محبی توپو داره، ضربهشو میزنه از این زاویه.
A 1-0 victory for Iran over Bulgaria. Amir Galanoui had to be thrilled about the clean sheet. Now for this segment of the show, I am joined by Moe Rock, CEO of the Los Angeles Tribune. Mo, welcome to Team Melli Talk. It's really great to have you on the show, man.
Well, Art, thank you so much for having me. I am a subscriber of your YouTube channel when it comes to international soccer, international football. I'm a big fan of different teams from around the world, and I like to keep my finger on the pulse. And when it comes to everything Team Melli, I think your channel is like the HQ. And so it's a pleasure to spend a few minutes with you.
I definitely have to agree, and thank you so much for your support and kind words, Mo. Really do appreciate it. So yeah, let's get this started. And as we know, Iran just defeated Bulgaria 1-0 in a friendly. For starters, I like the starting lineup that Amir Galanoui used in this 1-0 victory over Bulgaria. Overall, though, just by first opening question with you is what did you like from what were you impressed with from Iran's 1-0 victory over Bulgaria?
Yeah, so first of all, Iran is currently ranked in the 20s when it comes to their FIFA World Cup ranking. Bulgaria is ranked in the 70s. And so obviously there's an expectation that Iran would win, if not dominate that game. And we did not necessarily see a complete domination, although Iran was in control for most of the game. They were very aggressive. Ultimately, the scoreline didn't showcase that. And I give credit to the Bulgarian team. They stayed pretty competitive, keeping the game within reach for the full 90 plus minutes. And so Iran did a good job of not allowing Bulgaria to have too many opportunities to score. They did a good job of controlling the field. Where they needed to improve on, obviously, was at the closing aspect of it. I mean, they had probably 2 or 3 missed opportunities that were very close, and they just, whether it was slightly offside or whether it was just not staying laser focused to what needed to be done. Because I think that to reflect their FIFA ranking and to reflect the kind of team that they want to be and the standards that most of the fans of Team Melli have, they needed to win by 2 or 3 goals, not 1-0 when it comes to Bulgaria. And so I think that they played it safe. They won the game. However, there was a lot more that they needed to do if it's going to be a Team Melli that's going to be competitive on the world stage among some of the best teams in the world, which is what I know a lot of fans want to see out of the team.
You really laid out some very important facts, not just about the game, but about Team Melli in general. And, when looking back at this game, I also look at Bulgaria's starting lineup. They had, a mix of, domestic players and some of their foreign-based players. Some of their players are not really particularly playing for the best clubs where you see, where you look at the list of players with the club next to their names and you're saying, whoa, we got to go up against guys who play for this club. Ironically, the player who made the huge mistake which led to the goal, he plays for Leeds United, and he was one of my players to watch in the preview video for this match against Bulgaria, Ilya Gruyev. So yeah, what can I say? I gotta just go ahead and say it. One of the 3 players I picked for players to watch, well, he made a crucial mistake. But I mean, kudos to Saman Ghoddos,
yes,
for taking advantage, for pressuring him to make that mistake and having that awesome pass. It was the play from Ghoddos that gets all the credit for the goal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention Ghoddos because he played absolutely brilliantly, especially in that sequence. And, Ghoddos was somebody that almost played for the Swedish national team. And so for him to be in Iran, I think sometimes he's underutilized. I think he, in recent years, has really shown that he's been one of the stars on the Iranian national team. And so he did a phenomenal job. And there could not have been an easier goal, an easier way to score a goal, thanks to his brilliant move and that phenomenally positioned pass. So Ghoddos is again another player that has European experience that's on Team Melli, along with several other players, and they, especially when it comes to playing against other European teams, are familiar with a certain style. And he did a fantastic job, and I think that definitely. Without Ghoddos, obviously, we're looking at a possible tie here, which would have been somewhat, I don't want to say devastating, but it would have been problematic for Iran if they ended with a tie. Again, going back to how we know Iran is positioned about 50 teams above Bulgaria when it comes to FIFA World Ranking. And, the thing I'll point out is I did not feel watching this game necessarily that there were a team ranked 50 teams above. And so again, sometimes, in especially recent matches, there were teams that Iran should have dominated, whether it's with Uzbekistan, whether it's with Kenya. And we didn't necessarily see that in these games. And so whether that's by design, whether the game plan is, hey, let's just win 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever the case may be or not, Iran needs to, I think, be more aggressive if they really want to make a name for themselves, especially in the next World Cup on the international stage. There needs to be more closing, meaning there needs to be more execution on the offensive end. And quite frankly, they need to score more goals.
Yeah, us Team Melli supporters, we do want to see more goals. We want to see goals against the run of play. And of course, it's easy for someone to say that we're a little picky. And I agree with that 100%. I do agree with that. We are a little picky, but we're being picky for the right things, basically, piggybacking on what you just said. And the next question I have for you is, I think it's a very important one. How are you feeling about this win over Bulgaria, in the bigger picture perspective?
Yeah, well, again, Bulgaria did a great job of kudos to the Bulgarian team. They did a good job of staying competitive and keeping the game within reach. But overall, you know, this is not something for fans of Team Melli to necessarily celebrate winning 1-0 against Bulgaria, given the reputation that Team Melli has made internationally. You know, we're talking about a team that lost by one last-minute goal to Argentina. We're talking about a team that tied with Portugal in recent years. And so there's a certain standard of what is it that fans of international soccer want to see out of Team Melli. And beating Bulgaria 1-0 is not necessarily that same level of standard that a lot of fans of international soccer have. And another thing, when you have a player on your team that scored the absolute most goals in the league in Portugal, in Mehdi Taremi, there's no reason for you to have a problem on the offensive end unless the coaches are not doing a good enough job of utilizing the talent. If you have Osmun and Taremi and Godus and all of these talented players, and, you know, Jahan Baksh, who, you know, is very inconsistent in my eyes. Sometimes you see flashes of stardom out of Jahan Baksh, and then he kind of gets quiet. But Taremi and Osmun specifically are more consistent with everything that they've done, especially on the offensive end. And I think Jahan Baksh plays a very solid third supporting role on the offensive side after Osmun and Taremi, as far as offensive skill sets go. And with that solid lineup, you should not be winning game. And I know Osman wasn't obviously in this game, but in general, you shouldn't be defeating teams 1-0 or 2-1. You should be consistently scoring 3 goals, 4 goals against top tier talent. And we just simply haven't seen that. So the future of Team Melli, I think, is going to be largely based on, can they start utilizing all of these great pieces effectively?
You know, your explanation really contains so much great information. That's for sure. And, you know, when looking back at this game, you know, and I'm going to be, you know, shifting gears back and forth, you know, that's pretty much something I'm very used to doing on this show. But, you know, first, just starting with the positives of this game for Team Melli, you know, I don't like going just straight to the constructive criticism. You know, I like the way they were playing because, you know, even though Saman Ghoddos has not been playing a lot lately, he recently signed his new contract again with Brentford. You know, I was actually expecting him to not play, but, you know, and he ends up being in the starting lineup. But I'm happy that Gallinari made that decision. I like how, you know, some of the good things of this game. Yes, Iran was in control of this game. They did a good job at holding possession. That was very important to me. And I like the teamwork that I saw between Mehdi Taremi, Saman Ghoddos, and Ali Reza Jahanbash. So definitely some positives there, and also a very good positive of Mohamed Mohebi, you know, being in the right place at the right time. He's definitely one of Gallinari's guys, and I like what he brings to the team. He does play. He's also getting a lot of minutes with Rostov in the Russian Premier League. But when talking about Bulgaria, yeah, like you mentioned earlier, they've not been very good for a long time. The last time they were in an international tournament, it was the 2004 European Championship. So
right.
They have not been they've not been doing very well in recent years. But you know, when I still look back at this game, you know, I froze some, you know, there's some screenshots I'm going to have to share, you know, as part of this analysis, where Iran's midfield was leaving some holes and, you know, doing some ball watching. And all I can add to that is, you know, if you're playing like this against Bulgaria and they don't have their best roster out there, then, you know, you're going to be fine, because, you know, you're not playing against these world-class players. But if you're going to be doing this against the best teams in the Asian Cup, like Japan, South Korea, even Australia or Saudi Arabia, those teams are going to make you pay for those mistakes. So right. I'm glad to catch these now. I just hope Amir Gallinari knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. And that's such a great point that you're making, that, you know, there's certain things you'll get away with when you're playing with Bulgaria or Kenya or Uzbekistan or Afghanistan, some of these teams that Iran has played recently, that you're not going to get away with when you play with South Korea or Australia. And that's such an important point. And, you know, this team is still developing their chemistry, and they're still figuring things out because there's some new players involved. There's obviously a whole new coaching system involved. And so we'll see in the coming months, by the time January rolls around, whether or not the chemistry has been developed. We now see certain players that are newly in the mix. I think it's interesting that Gallinari is choosing more experienced players, which may be beneficial for the short term, but it's interesting to see how that's going to play in the long term. A lot of the players on this roster are in their 30s. Some of them are well into their 30s. And so we're going to, have to see what is the future of Team Melli. And to your point on the team that Iran just played in '94, they were a top 4, top 5 team in the world. And by the year 2000, 2002, they were hardly even able to my knowledge, I don't think they were even qualifying for the World Cup. So it's you could lose position on the world stage very quickly. And right now, Iran is still ranked almost top 20, which is a phenomenal ranking, a very solid, respectable ranking. And so if they want to maintain that stature of being a world competitive global team, they need to also focus on who are our rising stars of the future. At this point, I think it's safe to say Osman's in his prime. I don't think you can say that his prime is in the future. I mean, he's no longer the young kid on the block, so to say. He's pretty much there now. And so he's not necessarily the future. Taremi's not necessarily the future. So who's the young rising star? That's something that I can't point to on this team.
I'm sure if you watch previous episodes, what can I say? I've beaten this dead horse a decent amount of times. Yes, Gallinoi needs to start bringing in some younger players into the roster. Don't be afraid. Don't care about what the critics say. Just bring in some younger. I'm not saying do a complete overhaul, but you got to at least, mix it up. You're bringing in some experienced players, and you're also bringing in some younger players at the same time too. And you got to not care about, what the critics are going to say. He's just, that's the thing. He's too scared. He's so focused on living in the moment. He just wants to, getting this win over Bulgaria makes him say, okay, cool, I can sleep comfortably at night, where he really should be saying, you know what, I brought some younger players. It wasn't the best result, but I like where we're going. I like the direction we're going in.
Mm-hmm.
And,
absolutely.
One thing you said I have to add on is that I did like the chemistry from the game that we saw, in Iran playing again, that we saw from Iran, in this 1-0 win over Bulgaria. They did have some better chemistry. We didn't see a whole lot of giveaways. We didn't see, nothing but long balls all the time. So I definitely liked what I saw with the improved chemistry. And we are getting close to wrapping this up. Mo, obviously, I appreciate you taking the time to be here on Team Melli Talk. It's been great to be talking to you about Iran's Iran's win over Bulgaria, as well, of course, also about the future of Team Melli as well. Just one other thing before we're about to let you go. Ali Reza Bayramvand unfortunately had to be subbed out because of an injury. So let's just say, and Iran's about to play Angola in a few days in their next friendly match. So if you have the choice, Payam Niazmand of Sepahan or Mohammad Reza Akhbari of Golgohar, who do you choose to start in goal?
Well, I think Niazmand did a good job subbing in. Iran does have several solid goalkeepers that, are within their system. I think Bayramvand has shown that, he's probably the best goalkeeper overall. Obviously, he has the length, he has the size, he's laser focused. He's very passionate when he's on the field. I don't get the impression that he gets nervous, which is a good sign of a goalkeeper. He's laser focused. He shows strong leadership on the field. And so, having Niazmand, I think, is going to be the way to go. I think he did a good job in the second half, maintained the clean sheet, didn't allow anything. I know there was not a lot of shots that were actually on target, but the one or two that we saw, he did a solid job of just, making sure that Iran is put in a position to win. So I'm going to go with Niazmand.
All right. For me, I'm just going to go with Mohammad Reza Akhbari. I mean, what you said is correct. Definitely agree. But I just want to see Akhbari get the start because I look at these two friendlies where, let's just say if Bayramvand didn't get hurt, then you would say, okay, let's let the number 2 guy start the next game. But for me, I look at this as a situation of, Bayramvand got hurt and Niazmand coming in. This might as well have been a start because he played, the majority of the match. And I would just like to just see, give another goalkeeper a shot. I mean, I'm not going to come down hard on Gallinoi if he doesn't start Akhbari. I'm just saying that's generally who I would like to see start as well. That's just me.
Fair enough. Absolutely. I mean, look, these friendlies, part of the reason the teams have friendlies is to experiment with certain players. So that's a fair point.
Mo, I just like to thank you for taking the time to join me on Team Melli Talk. It really was a pleasure to have you on the show. And to our viewers at home, if you want to find Moe Rock on Instagram, Mo, why don't you share your Instagram handle with our viewers?
Sure. I mean, anyone that wants to follow me can follow me at Moe Rock Loves You on Instagram. And I appreciate the time and I love what you're doing. I think international sports are a fantastic way for us to not just be entertained, but it's a reminder that all human beings are very similar around the world. So I love international soccer. I love paying attention to what's going on in Asia, and this tournament in Asia in a few months is going to be very interesting.
Mo, once again, thank you for taking the time to join me on Team Melli Talk. It was a pleasure to have you on the show, and obviously, of course, I appreciate you supporting Team Melli Talk. Thank you again to Moe Rock for joining me on Team Melli Talk. Really do appreciate it. Now, to complete this analysis, I've got to share my choice for man of the match. No surprise, Saman Ghoddos. He assisted the goal scored by Mohebi, did a good job holding possession, and had great chemistry with Ali Reza Jahanbash and Mehdi Taremi. Now, what about you? Who was your choice for man of the match in the victory over Bulgaria? Leave a comment down below. Always look forward to getting your input. Iran and Angola have a history. Obviously, there was the meeting between the two teams at the 2006 World Cup in Germany that ended in a 1-1 draw. Aside from that, Iran has been the better team with 1 victory and 2 draws. The last meeting was a 1-1 draw when the two teams met in a friendly match in Austria right before the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Angola recently played Madagascar in a qualifier for the Africa Cup of Nations that ended in a scoreless draw. But despite the difficulties, there are still players to watch. Freddy Kulembe, Benny Mukendi, and Gelson Dalla. Freddy is currently playing in Turkey for Eyüpspor and previously represented Portugal at the U21 level before switching allegiance to Angola. Benny is plying his trade for Casa Pia in the Primeira Liga in Portugal and was man of the match in the scoreless draw against Madagascar. And Gelson Dalla has got to be familiar with some Iranian footballers due to the fact that he has been playing with Al Wakra in Qatar since 2021. The head coach of Angola is Pedro Gonçalves. He is mostly known for his success of managing Angola at the 2019 U17 World Cup that was held in Brazil. The match between Iran and Angola will be played on September 12th at the Azadi Stadium in Tehran. From what I understand, the match is supposed to be played at the Azadi Stadium, but I have nothing more to share because anything is possible in Iran. Similar to the last friendly match, Iran is favored to win due to having better footballers and having more footballers with international experience. But African teams are tough to scout and prepare for because they play against very good opposition and they know what it is like to experience brutal qualification campaigns. Next, let's talk keys to victory. Number 1, close down space in midfield. Number 2, stay disciplined in the back. Angola was whistled 9 times for offside against Madagascar and had 8 shots off target. This means that Angola plays aggressively and is not afraid to test opposing goalkeepers from long range. Payam Niazmand is expected to get the start for Iran due to the injury picked up by Ali Reza Beiranvand. But if it were to be my decision, I'd go with Mohammad Reza Akhbari of Gol Gohar. And that's it, everybody, for this edition of Team Melli Talk. As always, really do appreciate the support. Make sure you get to our website, www.teammellitalk.com. Remember, this is your best source for the latest news on Team Melli, the national team of Iran. Make sure you find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know the handle, @Team Melli Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification button. See you on the next edition of Team Melli Talk.